We should have really have asked for a second opinion when we went to review this show, and that is the title of this episode. We're at the halfway point of Season 3. It's Episode 7. It is Second Opinion, of course. And we're back with The Sopranos, and yet again, it's another underwhelming story episode here, because I tell you what, right? The main story this season for me, well, in my own opinion, has been Jackie Aprile Jr., and he wasn't even in this episode. Like, this episode just felt lost in a big pile of shit, right? Junior, they literally just rushed out that about like an episode and a bit ago that he had cancer. Now this episode, he's under the knife. Then he's awake again. And then guess what? He's got a bit more cancer, so we gotta put him under the knife. And Tony's like, no, we can't do that. We have to put him through chemotherapy. But the only reason Junior thinks his doctor is good is because he's got the name Dr. John Kennedy. I like the name, right? And Tony calls him out and says the only reason you like him is because he's got the same name as President John F. Kennedy. Thoughts on the name? I like the name, but I mean, that doesn't mean he's a good doctor.
I guess the name's alright. He got assassinated. I feel like this show's been assassinated.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how anyone can say this is the greatest show of all time. For me, it's probably one of the worst shows that I've ever watched. What I mean by that is it's probably one of the worst shows that I'll ever finish, because I would say that bad shows you tend not to finish. I will finish The Sopranos, but for me it's definitely at the lower end. Yeah, it's not in the top 50%. Therefore, I don't see how people can claim this is. People talk about this show as if it's a masterpiece, and it's like hands down the greatest show ever made.
See,
I just don't see.
There's a lot of problems, but for me, there's one main problem. The story is fucking all over the place. What is the main objective here?
Be honest, right? Even if it's a show I liked and you didn't really like, have we watched a series from start to finish that was worse than this?
Probably not.
And keep in mind, we haven't finished Fear the Walking Dead. And even then, I think you could make a case for Fear the Walking Dead being better than this. Sad as that sounds.
No. I'd rather watch The Sopranos.
I said make a case, I didn't say it was.
But, nah. No. Fear's different, gravy.
Alright, well, we haven't finished Fear, but shows that we have finished.
I would never say this was fantastic or great.
Shows that we have finished, what would you say The Sopranos is better than?
That we've finished?
Aye.
I'm thinking.
Sons.
Nowhere near.
Breaking Bad.
Nowhere near. They're not even the same fucking...
The Strain.
I mean, it's probably close to The Strain, because I think they both...
Really?
No.
I much preferred The Strain over this.
I don't know, this show's just... But it's the story. I think this show's got all the ingredients to be great, and it fucking misses every time for me. Do you not think so? Do you not think...
No, the characters are fucking unlikable.
Yeah, but if there's an actual story there... I just don't get what... I honestly... And it doesn't get better. It doesn't... It's always this disconnect each episode.
Well, I don't like that.
I know, I don't like it either, right?
It comes off to me as like a sitcom more than a TV series.
Yeah, it really does, but...
And if that's what you want to go for, that's fine. Because seeing you look at it, a lot of sitcoms won't really have like, see with most sitcoms, right? Obviously, there'll be certain things that'll happen, right, in maybe one season, and it could play a role in a future season. But with most sitcoms, you can just pick and choose which episodes to watch.
Yep.
It's not like episodic television, like a TV series. You need to watch it in order for it to make sense. Like, things like... Just trying to think, like...
Friends,
Simpsons...
Family Guy,
South Park, 2 pints of lager, packet of crisps, any shit like that, you can really just pick up, and that's what The Sopranos feels a wee bit like to me. There's not a lot of continuation in stories. There's some, but there's not a lot.
No, but what's the main storyline this season?
Don't know, I can't tell you. I don't know, Jeff.
I don't know, Jeff. I have no idea, right? And this whole Tony and his dog, like... Junior is bought over like a $1 street whore, man. Like, Tony just tells his doctor to be like, you just pretend it's all good, and he'll buy it, and he fucking does. This intern, he's like, he's the top chemo guy. The guy looks at him, he's like, yeah, he is. He's the top chemo. What the fuck? This guy's used to lead, know what I mean? Jersey.
They're all dumb bastards.
No, they are, man. And then, like, the best scene this episode was Furio. You've got that bee on your hat. And he just
slaps his hat.
I mean, really, though, is that as good as that? Is that the peak here? Is that the...
Furio reminds me of Steven Seagal.
An Italian Steven Seagal. He does. I mean, what else happened here? You've got AJ's away in a wee fucking trip with school, right? But right, we've got Paulie and Chris. We've basically wrapped up the doctor shit, right? Junior looks like he'll be alright. Well, you right, few rounds of chemo, right? But you've got Paulie and Chris. So apparently Chris, right, is on a probation period, which to me doesn't make any sense, right? He's not out of jail. He got made a main man. He did the whole finger prick thing. He swore on the stack of Bibles. He's did whatever. Why does he have to go through a probation period?
I personally don't get it. Like
and see when Paulie and Patsy and you've got Silvio are like strip search for having to. For me, I genuinely don't think that fellow made guys should be making another guy do this. I think this should be like Tony.
Yeah.
I think Tony should have...
Chris be like, yo, I don't fucking answer to you.
Man, you fucking stripped Paulie?
I think it was too far. Like, Paulie just bursts in at 2 fucking a.m. At 2 a.m. The man turning over his house. Like, what for? Did Chris owe him money?
It's because Chris is making more money. He's not really giving Paulie, but he doesn't really have to.
I thought all he had to do was give Paulie $6 grand.
Well, that's what Paulie. But that's the problem with the show. You're led to believe it. You just have to give him $6 grand. But Paulie thinks so. He's fucking holding out. I mean,
yeah, but we haven't seen that.
Yeah, I know.
They haven't showed that. Oh no, the last they really showed was that Chris wasn't making enough money, and that he was having to pay Paulie out of his own pocket.
Yeah.
The whole gambling thing.
Aye, no, I know.
The last they touched on it was that Chris wasn't making enough money through that, and that it was actually an expenditure for Chris because he was having to go and do side hustles in order to make up Paulie's $6K. But now, all of a sudden, with no on... I mean, it's almost like Elgin James had a hand in fucking writing this show. Because a lot of this stuff must happen off screen. Because all of a sudden now, Chris is making more... And so fucking what?
I know.
I can understand if it was Tony. Why the fuck is Chris having to pay money to Paulie?
You know what? I agree with Chris. But for me, the only thing I do... I understand Paulie's point of view. Oh, don't you go round me to the big man again. I think Christopher should just fucking called him out.
But can he?
Then both... He can't... I think Tony would have respected it more if Chris went to Paulie about it. Fucking grow a backbone, Chris. I feel like he had way more of a backbone in the earlier season. When he wasn't even a made guy, just some fucking bum. He was on about, this is last scene in Scarface. Say hello to my little friend. What happened to that, Chris? Fuck it. His arse dropped once Brendan died. This is the guy, he wanted to kill Junior. I just think it makes Chris look weak. I don't give a fuck if he's on probation, man. Honestly. Look at Ralphie last episode. You can't hit me, I'm a made guy. Oh, but Christopher's a made guy. We can just fucking bust into his house and steal all his stuff.
And then Paulie goes into their bedroom and starts sniffing Adriana's panties. It's like, that's not normal, is it?
No, it's not normal.
Why didn't Chris call him out in that? All Chris did was like snicker. Oh no, you fucking don't.
Yeah.
But you didn't call him out on it.
Yeah, he says to Tony about it and Tony doesn't care. Tony like gives half a mention to Paulie about it and he's like, oh well, he's just fucking weird.
No, but like, see that point, see if Chris gets up. But what would happen in that? Because Paulie had a couple of guys with him.
I think it was just him and Patsy, but I get your point.
Can Paulie pull out a gun if Chris hits him?
Well, I'll tell you what, Chris was thinking about shooting him. He thought Paulie was reaching for a gun or something.
Let's say Chris went up right and decked Paulie, because I mean, Paulie talks a good game. Don't you ever do this again, but I mean, I've no doubt in my mind that Chris would beat Paulie up in a fight.
Yep.
And not necessarily just because of the age, but Chris just looks more mobile and obviously younger, more physical. Paulie just doesn't look like a fighter.
No.
None of them do.
No.
None of Silvio, I think, would batter Chris.
Yeah.
But Silvio looks like the only guy that could fucking actually fight. See, you look at Paulie and you look at Silvio and it's like, Wait, no. Who did I call?
Patsy?
No, who's that?
Bobby?
No.
Big fat Bobby?
No, the guy for Italy.
Furio? He's
That's
the
what I
only...
meant, not Silvio.
Furio's the only guy that can fucking do
I
something.
didn't mean Silvio, I meant Furio's. Like, Furio would beat up Chris, I've no doubt about it, but I think Chris would batter the rest of them. Like, surely, if he just walked in there, right, threw a couple of digs at Paulie and then chucked him out, and, like, if Paulie goes to Tony and says something, all Chris all has to say is, well, he was going through Adriana's, underwear drawer and sniffing on it. Would Tony not be like, you did good, my friend?
You did right. You did the right thing, Chris.
I mean, what would Tony do if Paulie went through fucking Meadows?
Yeah, what would he do?
Because I actually don't think there's that big of it. I was going to say Adriana, but I'd say Meadows closer to age to.
But see,
Meadows closer. I think Meadow and Adriana are probably closer.
But Tony's a dickhead, right? Chris could be like, well, what if he did it to Meadow, Tony? Would you fucking deal with it? I think he would turn that on Chris. He'd be like, no, what the fuck are you doing?
What the fuck are you doing my daughter into this?
Yeah.
But it's a fucking fair point. Like,
No, it is a fair point, but...
let's be honest, Adriana's still young enough to be Paulie's daughter, like.
And I'll tell you what, Tony also discovers a big mouth Billy Bass, which reminds him of Big Sal, so he decides to batter Georgie with it.
This Georgie guy can't catch a break.
He gets fucking battered every go. Again, right? The whole Ralph thing, last episode, where is he? Just completely de-escalate.
Should that not be a pretty big deal, though?
No, but this is weekly TV. You're tuning in to see the aftermath.
No, but should that not be a big deal? He killed one of their strippers, like, right outside their business.
Yep. And here we are. We don't get any of it. We do not get any of it. Carmela does go to see a shrink. He's like, you should probably leave, Tony, but if you leave him, use all the legitimate money. Filler. And then she spots Big Sal's wife. And she's like, my dog's very sick. Tells Tony about it. Tony heads over there, realises that, she's actually got money. And he's like, you know what? I was going to say just don't speak to the wife about it. But then I went, no, you've got a new Cadillac, so fuck you. And he started battering the car. What do you make of this? I thought he was going to batter the dog, but he left the dog alone.
It's just Tony having another meltdown, isn't it? Meltdown Tony.
But see, the gimmick is that when you're sworn in, when you're a made guy, right? When you're sick or in ill health or whatever, or you get arrested, they will look after your family. To me, that probably should go out the window once he rats.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I think it's mental that Tony probably shows more respect towards, like, widows of rat members than he does towards, like, his own fucking crew who are alive.
Yeah, no, I'd say I think Tony's doing a good thing there.
And I think Carmel's got a point when he was, like, refusing to pay 50 grand. They go get Meadow to the best college, and he's like, no. I mean, he's got so much money, and yet he'd rather give it the fucking pointless shit, like, giving Sal's ex-wife.
Could it be because he killed Sal?
No, it could be, but this is a continued trend. But guys, that is pretty much this episode. There's just not an awful lot happening here, man. Fucking garbage, to be honest. And I'm going to give this episode a 2. I thought it was fucking shite. That was my second opinion.
Wasn't great. Was it better than that Daryl Dixon thing? That probably was.
Tony arguing about here, there's too much pulp in my fucking Tropicana. Fuck off. What?
And it's like, hold on, no, like, earlier in the episode, we're having dinner, and it's AJ is like excused because he's got homework. But then, like 10 minutes later in the episode, he arrives back in a car, and it's been made out as if he's been gone for weeks. It's like, hold on.
I know.
What the fuck's... Where's the timeline?
No, but it begins with Junior in surgery, right? Then he's out walking about. You know what surgery does to people? Especially a guy who's like 70.
I feel like The Sopranos... You would watch an episode and think that a day or two has passed.
And it's about 6 months.
Aye.
Yeah.
Based on what fucking happens, yeah.
I would say so. But Tony at the end of this episode does reluctantly agree to give the 50 grand anyway. So, thoughts? I'm giving it a 2.
I'll get a 4.
This show's just shite.
I think it's very consistent, but it's consistently average.
See people that say this show, right, is the greatest of all time. I'm convinced they've not watched it in 20 years and they're stuck in this capsule of like the early 2000s.
Or they've not watched this show since The Sopranos ended.
Yeah. Honestly, Like, the only thing you could say from it, from a point of view, is it doesn't necessarily feel as fabricated as a TV show because it's just that, it just feels lazy. Like it literally just does feel like
It feels
the
real.
average Italian American,
It does sort of feel. It does sort of feel real.
but it's not reality TV at the end
But
of the
then
day.
again, can you really claim it's real when you look at that shootout in season 1 and the 2 black guys put that?
Take me back to that was fucking interesting.
I know, but
what's happening now, man?
Can we?
Wait,
really-
no, what was the last interesting scene where someone near died or something?
No, I think.
Right, yo, Burt Young, right? I like that scene. But
See-
at the end of the day, they're nothing characters.
Season 3's been poor for me, big time.
Easily the worst. But yeah, 3 out of 10, guys. We'll be back very soon. We're at the halfway point, and until next time, peace.